It is April 2004 in Los Angeles. A pair of twins are born to a man who will one day become the richest person on Earth. Their father's name is Elon Musk. But what no one could know then was that one of these children would later shock him in ways even money could not control. Because this child, Vivian, did something few could even imagine. She did not just walk away from billions of dollars. She legally erased her father's name, and she declared, "I want nothing to do with him." Now imagine this moment. At just 16 years old, standing in a courtroom, choosing your true self over your family's massive empire, making a choice the whole world would soon hear about. But here lies the mystery. How does the child of Elon Musk, the man building rockets to Mars, become his loudest critic? How does someone born into mansions and private jets end up on stage at drag shows and Tokyo nightclubs? This is not just a story of leaving. It is a story of breaking chains. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you will uncover the untold story of Vivian Jenna Wilson, the daughter who rejected her father's shadow to build her own light. The story begins with loss. In 2002, Elon Musk and his first wife, Justine Wilson, suffer tragedy when their first son, Nevada, dies at just 10 weeks old. The pain is crushing, but instead of giving up, they turn to IVF, a medical chance to rebuild a family. And in April 2004, the dream takes shape. Twins are born, Griffin and Vivian, 2 children, arriving into a world already buzzing with wealth, invention, and Elon's rising empire. Just 2 years later, in 2006, the family grows again, this time with triplets. 5 young children now fill the Musk household, and from the outside, it looks like a golden childhood. A billionaire father, private jets, mansions in California, vacations that most families can only imagine. To the world, it seems like perfection, but inside the home, cracks begin to show. In 2008, Elon and Justine's marriage falls apart. The divorce splits the children between 2 worlds, the glamorous life of a tech billionaire and the quiet home of their mother. For the children, it is more than paperwork. It is a split of identity, a tearing of what family means. And for Vivian, the weight grows heavier, because what looks like privilege soon feels like prison. The rules of fame, the pressure of being Elon's child, the feeling that every step is watched, measured, and compared. Here lies the twist. Most imagine growing up in a billionaire's palace as the ultimate dream. But for Vivian, it becomes the opposite. The walls are made of gold, but they still feel like chains. And so the tension rises. If you grow up with more money than most could ever dream of, why would you ever want to escape it? The question is asked, why would a child born into wealth want to escape it? The answer begins with a hidden battle. A battle inside Vivian herself. By the age of 14, she comes out as gay. It is the first step of living her truth, but it is only the beginning. By 16, she takes a larger step. She tells her family she is transgender. For Vivian, this moment feels like freedom, a chance to finally name who she really is. Her mother, Justine Wilson, stands with her. She offers support. She offers love. But Elon's response is different. Instead of acceptance, his reaction is cold. He dismisses her school, calling it brainwashing. He suggests the change is not real, but forced. And with those words, the father-daughter bond begins to break. Each sentence sharpens the divide. Each silence makes the distance wider. For Vivian, the palace grows darker. Wealth cannot erase the ache of rejection. Money cannot buy the comfort of being seen. And so, a new conflict begins. This is not about rockets or cars. It is about identity. It is about belonging. And about the one thing even the richest man alive cannot control: his child's desire to be accepted. The tension grows heavier, because what does a teenager do when her own father, the richest man in the world, refuses to recognize who she really is? Does she stay silent? Or does she take a step so bold it shocks the entire world? What does a teenager do when her own father refuses to accept her? She makes the boldest move of her life. In 2022, at just 18 years old, Vivian walks into a courtroom. There, she files a legal petition. She does not want the Musk name. She chooses her mother's surname instead. From that day forward, she is Vivian Jenna Wilson. The statement is not silent. It is written in black and white. In her court documents, she declares, "I no longer live with my biological father and do not wish to be related to him in any way." It is more than a name change. It is a break, a line drawn between past and future. For her, it is freedom. But for Elon, it feels like rebellion. Instead of empathy, his reaction is sharp. He responds by calling her transition a result of a woke mind virus. Not only rejecting her truth, but mocking it to the world. And this time, his voice does not stay at home, because Elon now owns the world's largest megaphone, Twitter, a platform that can reach millions in seconds. And so the conflict grows. A private family wound becomes a public battlefield. The richest man alive against his own child. The father with rockets, satellites, and billions against the daughter with only her name and her voice. The tension is undeniable. What happens when a father uses the world's biggest social media platform, not to protect his child, but to fight her? What happens when a father uses the world's biggest platform against his own child? The conflict escalates. In 2022 and 2023, Elon Musk does not stay silent. He tweets, he gives interviews, he frames Vivian not as a daughter, but as a victim of ideology. The words cut deep. And then comes the headline that shocks the world. In one public remark, Elon says, "My son is dead." The statement spreads everywhere. It dominates headlines. It shakes families across the globe. Because while Elon frames it as politics, millions of LGBTQ+ youth recognize something personal. The rejection of family, the pain of being erased by the people meant to love you most. Vivian's story becomes more than her own. It becomes a mirror of what countless young people face when they come out to families who cannot accept them. The battle is no longer private. It is no longer about just one household. It becomes a cultural war. Elon Musk, billionaire, inventor, celebrity, now stands in open conflict with his own child, the richest man alive, against an 18-year-old girl asking only to live as herself. The tension grows sharper because in this fight the sides are clear. One has power, money, and influence. The other has only truth. And yet, truth is sometimes the stronger weapon. The world watches closely. Could Vivian survive under such a massive shadow? Could she even find a way to thrive? When her father's voice tries to drown her out, she does more than survive. She reinvents herself. In 2023, Vivian begins a new journey. She studies languages, chasing voices from around the world. She looks beyond California mansions and Silicon Valley boardrooms. She seeks a place where she can write her own story. That search takes her across the ocean to Tokyo. Here, the lights are different. Bright neon streets pulse with music and freedom. And in those lights, Vivian discovers performance. On stage, she becomes Vivalas. Her name, her art, her rebirth. She steps into fashion. She explores drag. She turns her pain into performance, her rejection into expression. The contrast is powerful. Elon Musk builds rockets and satellites. Vivian builds characters and shows. One seeks Mars, the other seeks herself. And here lies the twist. Instead of running from the spotlight, Vivian walks into it, not as Musk's daughter, not as an heir to billions, but as an artist who defines her own stage. For the first time, she is not trapped in someone else's shadow. She shines with her own light, yet the tension remains, because the world now watches again. This time, not with headlines of court battles, but with the eyes of fans, critics, and strangers. How would the world react when the child of Elon Musk transforms into a queer icon? In 2024, Vivian shocks again. This time, not in a courtroom, but on a runway. She makes her modeling debut with Wild Fang, a queer-owned fashion brand. Photos of her stride across glossy magazines. Posts explode across social media. And suddenly, the world sees her not as Elon Musk's daughter, but as Vivian Jenna Wilson. As Vivalace, her drag persona, she builds a following online. Clips of her performances spread like fire. Fans celebrate the art, the bold colors, the raw courage. And slowly, her voice grows beyond performance. She begins to speak out. She speaks for immigrant rights. She speaks for LGBTQ+ youth who feel invisible. Her platforms transform her into something larger than herself, a symbol. The conflict sharpens. Elon tries to ignore it. He avoids her name. He refuses to engage. But the media refuses to stay silent. Headlines frame the irony too clearly to ignore. The world's richest man, and the daughter who turned away from his billions to raise her own flag. Progressively, the line grows sharper. Elon Musk becomes the voice of wealth, power, and technology. Vivian becomes the voice of defiance, art, and identity. He builds rockets for Mars. She builds movements for Earth. And here lies the twist. She is no longer just Musk's child. She has become his opposite, the symbol of everything he cannot control. The tension builds to its highest point, because now the question burns. Could rejecting billions actually make her more powerful than inheriting them? The answer is yes, because in 2025, Vivian discovers the hidden secret, the one Elon Musk, with all his billions, could never understand. That true wealth is not measured in dollars. It is measured in identity, in independence, in the freedom to be who you really are. For years, people said Vivian had lost her father, but the truth is different. She did not lose Elon Musk. He lost her. This is the twist in perspective. The richest man in the world could not buy the one thing that mattered most, his child's trust. And while Elon builds empires of steel and satellites, Vivian builds something harder to break, a life on her own terms, a career in her own name, a community that stands with her, not against her. Here, the emotional high point rises, because this is more than a family fight. It is a story of survival, of courage, of choosing light over shadow. Vivian did not inherit Elon's billions. She inherited her own voice, and that proved far more powerful. This is the echo of the hook, the real untold story inside Elon Musk's family. Not about rockets, not about Mars, but about a daughter who broke away from her father's empire to build her own. And now the reflection turns to us. What would you choose? The billions that tie you down, or the true self that sets you free? The secret is unlocked. Vivian's story was never about running from Musk. It was never about escaping rockets, empires, or billions. It was about proving something larger, that identity will always matter more than inheritance. This is the untold truth of 2025. The richest man in the world could not buy the loyalty of his own daughter. That is the shocking twist. Because Elon Musk, with all his companies, cars, and satellites, could not win the one thing that mattered most: the bond of family, the warmth of acceptance, the trust of a child. And so the moral rises. Money cannot replace love. It cannot replace respect. It cannot replace the simple human need to be seen. For Vivian, that truth became a path. She chose her own name. She chose her own career. She chose her own community. And with each choice, she moved further from being Elon Musk's child and closer to being simply herself. This is the emotional high. Vivian stands tall in 2025, not as an heir to a fortune, not as a shadow of a billionaire, but as Vivian Jenna Wilson, as Vivalus, the artist who turns pain into performance, as a symbol for those who believe freedom comes from truth, not from wealth. The contrast is striking. Elon Musk builds rockets that aim for Mars. Vivian builds a life that inspires people on Earth. He chases planets. She chases authenticity. He gathers billions. She gathers belief. And this is where the untold story transforms. Because Vivian shows the world something even Elon could not engineer. That real power comes from choosing who you are. That real wealth comes from living your truth without apology. And so the circle closes. The girl once trapped in a billionaire's palace becomes a woman free in her own light. The father once hailed as untouchable discovers his limits at home. And the lesson is clear for all who watch. You can build companies. You can build towers. You can even build rockets. But if you cannot build trust with your own family, then all the money in the world cannot save you. This is the hidden truth revealed. Vivian's story is not just hers. It is a reflection of a choice we all face. To live under the weight of expectations, or to rise under the power of authenticity. The billions might tempt you, but the true prize is freedom. Vivian chose freedom, and in doing so, she proved a truth strong enough to outshine even the richest man alive. Vivian Jenna Wilson's journey is more than family drama. It is a story of courage, of pain, and of triumph. She turned rejection into resilience. She turned privilege into purpose. And she proved that even in the shadow of great power, true authenticity shines brighter. Her choice reminds us that identity can outweigh inheritance. If you want more untold stories that shape the world, make sure to subscribe and stay with us. And tell me, do you believe Vivian was right to walk away from Elon Musk's empire? Or should family ties always come first?